question. And I am not going to make everyone in the live stream happy, but Pluto is not a planet.
Boom. Okay. I was going to say boom regardless of what you said, but
yeah.
Okay, so not a planet. All right, why?
So it's because we have a better understanding of the solar system now than we did when Pluto was discovered. That's the basic reason. And I'm going to go into more depth in 1 second. So in 1800, let's back up one extra year. What we understood of the solar system was that it was Sun at the center, by then was pretty established. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Uranus had just been discovered by William Herschel I believe in the 1780s. And then that was it. Then in 1801, so there was this law, someone trying to figure out a mathematical relation between the distances of all the planets, and they seemed to think that we were missing a planet between Mars and Jupiter. Well, it turns out in 1801, Giuseppe Piazzi, who was a Jesuit priest, he discovered an object, Ceres, in between Mars and Jupiter, like right where it was sort of predicted. And it was definitely smaller than any of the other planets, but it was considered a planet because it was the next new object discovered. In the years following, many objects were discovered sharing the same orbit with Ceres, and this is the asteroid belt. But at first, these were all considered planets. In the 1840s, we realized Uranus was not behaving the way we expected it to with Newton's laws. So it was guessed there must be some planet beyond Uranus that is tugging on it, that's affecting the orbit of Uranus. And a couple of different mathematicians in Europe, different countries, tried to race to calculate where this other planet should be. They sent their results to different astronomers in countries in competition, and Neptune was discovered in 1844. I believe it was the French discoverer, Leverrier, who won the race. Although, if you talk to someone from England, they're probably not going to agree with that.
Yeah, I get that. Brazilians claim to have invented the airplane.
Yes.
And they have a whole narrative about it. Yep. Okay.
I've heard that one before too. Yeah. But either way, Neptune was discovered, and then we decided, okay, well, this is really a big planet, similar in size to Uranus, and these other objects that we've been discovering for the past few decades in the 1800s through the 1840s, we shouldn't really call them planets. We should just call them asteroids. And so that's what they did. Now, Ceres is the largest asteroid. It makes up 1/3 of the mass of the asteroid belt. So, and it's round because of its own gravity. So that is something significant, and it was considered a planet for 40 something years. Now, when we go through several decades later, astronomers were saying, well, now Neptune's not behaving in its orbit the way we expect it to. Maybe there's something beyond that planet that is tugging on it. And it should be right around here. And then Clyde Tombaugh in 1930 looked and was able to discover Pluto. Now, his discovery of Pluto was a little bit lucky, how he just looked in the right spot, because Pluto's really a lot less massive, and it isn't really tugging on Neptune in the way that it was thought at the time. But astronomers thought Pluto's tugging on Neptune. It must be about just as massive as Neptune. So it's a planet. So we just didn't understand how big it was, how small it was at the time. Now, but it was the last thing discovered out there for several decades. And so since we didn't start discovering other objects in the belt that's out there, the Kuiper belt, until the 1990s, that's why Pluto was considered a planet for so many years. Then in the 90s, we started discovering there are thousands of other objects out there, some sharing the same orbit as Pluto. Pluto is in a resonance with Neptune. Neptune orbits 3 times for every 2 times Pluto orbits, so that whenever Pluto crosses over the orbit of Neptune, Neptune's never nearby. That's why Pluto's so stable. There are lots of objects in other resonances with Neptune as well. And it just makes sense to classify those as another belt, the Kuiper belt. And so we have that understanding of our solar system today.